Keyword research is not my favorite thing to do as an author. At least it wasn't until I found this tool called Publisher Rocket, and it honestly makes things so much easier. But what is keyword research and why do you need it as an author? Well, if you're publishing on Amazon KDP especially, then you need to make sure that the words you're using in your metadata and in your title and in your subtitle are words that people are actually searching for. Otherwise, they're not going to find your book. And of course, you can always run ads to your book, but if you're not using the right keywords in your ads, you run into the same problem. So let's go ahead and go over this keyword research tool and why I love it so much and how it's going to make your life a lot easier as an author and get more sales and more views to your book. There's a few things that I want you to keep in mind when you're doing keyword and category research. There's so much that we can go into and talk about, but just for this beginner tutorial, these are just a few things I want you guys to keep track of. For keywords, consider the number of searches per month on that keyword. Is there a book or author already dominating the niche? What does the competition look like? For categories, we need to keep in mind what's the number of sales that you need to reach per day to reach number one, and what's the ABSR or the average bestseller rank for that category. And we'll come back to this list at the end of this tutorial and talk about some of these again. Here's the website for Publisher Rocket, and this was created by someone who runs a site called Kindlepreneur, and he's got some really, really excellent resources that talk about publishing on Amazon especially, and he does a really fantastic job. I love the articles that he publishes, and Publisher Rocket is his product. And as you can see, it says sell more books and ebooks on Amazon. Publisher Rocket will help you get your book in front of more Amazon shoppers so you can spend less time marketing and more time writing. Okay, and this is what it looks like. I have also provided a link to Publisher Rocket in your publishing guide that was introduced at the beginning of the course. So here we are with the Publisher Rocket. This is my personal copy that I have, and you can see there's these 5 different categories, and let's just go through them little by little, one by one, and talk about some of the benefits and how they can help you when you are trying to get more views to your book on Amazon. So the first one here is keyword search, and I'm going to use nonfiction examples because this is easily the most applicable use of Publisher Rocket, but I will give some examples with fiction novels as well because a lot of you guys are writing fiction, not nonfiction. You may be writing a little bit of both. So let's say that I want to publish a book, or I have published a book on motherhood. Okay, so I'm going to type the word motherhood, and I can select Kindle only, Audible only, but I'm just going to stick with all formats, and then I say go get 'em Rocket. And it doesn't automatically pull up the search results for you. You have to click these little magnifying glasses on the side, and I generally go through and I just click all of them, and then I compare the results from these different keywords. But let me just select these top ones and we can talk about what these mean, okay? So the average pages, self-explanatory, number of competitors, self-explanatory, average price. This is useful because if you're trying to decide how much money you should be charging for your book, then it's good to know what the average price is. Although at the same time, you do need to be aware that the average price could be affected by some really well-selling books, and books that are doing really well, they can easily charge a higher price for their book. If you're newer in the market, you're going to want to charge a lower price so you can be competitive anyways. But this is useful. Plus, the other nice thing about the average price is it gives you an idea of how much people are willing to pay for this type of book. So, if we looked at weight loss books, I'd be willing to bet that this would be a little bit lower actually, just because the competition is so high and you can get a lot of free weight loss advice out there. So I wouldn't think that people would be as willing to pay as much for weight loss books. But at the same time, people really want to lose weight, so maybe they are willing to pay a lot for weight loss books. But if we're not really sure, we can come over here and look at the average monthly earnings. And this is going to tell you a lot as well, okay? $3,000, $727, $321. These aren't super high numbers. What this tells you, if they're not super high, is that people aren't as willing to pay money for a book about motherhood. Here, Motherhood Facing and Finding Yourself has a huge average monthly earning, which would mean that people are willing to pay a lot of money for that keyword. However, as you have probably noticed, this is probably the title of a book. It's probably not just a keyword. This is probably people outside of Amazon coming into Amazon and looking for a very specific book. And if I want to double check that and verify that this is in fact a specific book that people are looking for, I can come all the way over here and click on these green lines. And this is going to show me the exact books that are on the top search results for that keyword. And yes, Motherhood Facing and Finding Yourself is in fact the title of a book, and it's doing pretty well. But as you can see right here, there's another book that ranks for that keyword, and its monthly sales are $67,000. Raising Good Humans, $46,000. And so this book actually isn't doing as well as I thought it was, because that was the specific keyword, but these books are doing really well, and they factor into that average that we saw over here in our keyword search. Okay, so there's, as you're seeing, as you can see, there's a ton of different factors that go into keyword research, and a lot of this, I'm just going to tell you right up front, a lot of it you're just going to have to get comfortable with it and explore and learn and look at different keywords and experiment with them, plug them into your metadata. The metadata, I'll show you what that means as well, but it's basically the back-end keywords that you put in your KDP listing on Amazon. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about these last two sections here. Estimated Amazon searches per month. If it's in the red, that means there aren't a whole lot of people looking for it, relatively speaking. And sometimes you'll see a number that's a little bit higher. Let me open some of these to see if I can find a number to compare it to. Because 1,000 searches is actually pretty good, but for some reason that's still in the red. With some other keywords, 1,000 searches may actually be in the green. There's red and then orange and green. Yeah, see down here, 1,900. This one's green. And my assumption is that this is relative. So what the tool is telling you is that this is a good number of searches relative to the number of competitors, relative to the competition. Whereas with these keywords up here, that's not a good number of searches relative to the competition. I don't know exactly how that works, to be completely honest, because with this one, there's only 96 competitors, so that doesn't seem like a very high competition. But I tend to just trust the tool. If it's green, then that's good. Motherhood books, bestsellers. Obviously, that would be a good search term because people want to read bestsellers, but not a great search term to use if you're not actually a bestseller. But you could look through all of these keywords. Generally, the longer the keyword, so this would be just a keyword, but using a keyword phrase, or sometimes they're called like a long tail keyword, where it's got multiple words in it, generally is going to be good for you starting off, because keywords that are just one word like this tend to be really competitive, right? Because that's something that a lot of people are searching for, although in this case, not so many people are searching for it. So let's take a look at another keyword. Let's try weight loss. Now this one should be pretty competitive. There's a lot of books about weight loss out there. Okay, estimated Amazon searches for weight loss, 2,000, which actually surprises me. I would have expected a lot more than that. Weight loss recipes cookbook, that's a really good one here. Okay, but when we compare it to the competitive score here, it says very competitive. That means a lot of people are publishing under this keyword, weight loss recipes cookbook. So there may be a lot of people looking for it, but if there's already a ton of books out there, then you're going to have a really hard time rising to the top of the search results where people are actually going to find your book without having to run a lot of ads to your book. Though, if you are planning on doing a lot of ads, then this can be pretty encouraging, knowing that people are searching for your book,
because then if you run ads, then you're likely to get some sales. But running ads to a book is not usually profitable. It's really hard to make it profitable. You usually end up losing more money, spending more money than you actually earn, but it can be a good way to increase your visibility, to improve your ranking on Amazon. But again, as I said, if there's a really high competition to begin with, then it's going to be really, really hard to raise your book up to the point where it's actually ranking for that keyword, like on the front search page, the front page of that keyword, right? And we can keep looking at a few of these, but as you can see with the word weight loss, that's super competitive. See, 100 competitive score. That's the most competitive it can possibly be. But if we start tagging on some additional qualifiers to that word, so weight loss, hypnosis for women, that's a little bit less competitive. A lot of people are searching for that one. Here, weight loss journal for women 2022. That one's a lot less competitive. There aren't very many searches for it. If you can find a category where you've got green here and green here, that's a really great keyword to work with. All right, then let's go back to home so we can see where we're at, okay? So we did keyword search. Keyword search led us to this second one organically because right here, this is our competition analyzer. It takes us to the next step, essentially. So if I'm like, oh, okay, I want to create a weight loss cookbook, then I come over here and I can look at the competition, look at the books that are actually published and are in the top listing right now and see what they're about. So this one is meal prep for weight loss. This one, instant loss, eat real, lose weight. And you can look at how long they've been on the market, the price, their monthly sales. You can get a lot of information just all right here. And most of this information beyond, so this here, the estimated searches per month is a little bit harder to calculate or figure out on your own. But most of this other information you can find using free tools on Amazon. So there's, to find keywords, you can use suggestion expanders, so like AMZ suggestion expander, or Publishing Titans has some keyword Chrome extensions that you can add on to your Chrome, and then when you go to Amazon, it'll give you kind of a keyword score, and those are free tools to use. But I will tell you, I've used them, and it takes a really long time to gather all of this data, where here all of it's in one place and it's nicely packaged up. Plus you can export the search that you've done. So I can say export all, or I can say export analyzed. Analyzed are just the ones that I actually clicked on the magnifying glass, or I could say export all, and it'll take all this information and export it into a Google or an Excel spreadsheet. And then I can have that all right in front of me, and it does it for me, which is really nice. Because normally if you're doing this keyword research on Amazon, then you have to do it manually and create your own spreadsheet and make sure that you're keeping track of all this data. And imagine trying to enter in all this information for every single keyword. Believe me, I've done it. It takes hours, and it can be really discouraging because, as you can see, there are a lot of keywords that don't work. It's really hard to find a keyword that is good, that you can work with, that is going to be easy to get into, right? So you may spend hours and hours and hours searching for quality keywords that you can work with and have pretty much no luck. So very, very stressful. But we've been doing this for just a few minutes, and I've got all this data right in front of me. So that took me to the competition analyzer. I can go straight to the competition analyzer, and I can do a new search directly from the competition analyzer and type a keyword. So let's say self-publishing, because we love self-publishing. As you can see, I can analyze the data with these as well. So pretty cool. And then category search. These are the 5 categories that were on the homepage. So let's go to category search. And this may actually be a good place for you to start. You can start with keyword search. You can start with category search if you don't know what you want to write. With category search, if I have a particular niche that I want to get into, say I really love photography, so I'm going to click on arts and photography, check it out. And you can also, again, focus on book, Kindle, or Audible. Let's actually focus on books, okay? Arts and photography, click check it out. And then I can take a look at all the categories that fall under arts and photography. And there's quite a few of them, so this does take a little bit of time to go through. But this is really useful information, and this is why. If you want to be considered a bestseller, if you want to reach the bestseller rank on Amazon, then you need to have this information in front of you. This is going to tell you how many sales you need to make every single day in order to reach number 1, which is that bestseller badge that everybody wants, right? And I can go ahead and filter this or order it. So if I click the little arrow here, sales to number 10, let's click it again. So here, if I'm focusing on a book about lighting, books, arts and photography and video equipment, techniques and reference lighting. Okay, all of this. This is all the category. Then I only need to have 1 sale per day with this sort of book in order to reach number 10, which means I'm basically going to be on the front page of the search results for this category, basically. But if I want to reach the bestsellers rank, that number 1 bestseller, then I need to have 10 books sold per day. So let's go ahead and organize by sales to number 1. So look at this. If I write a book about the tango, then I only have to sell 1 book per day. I guess maybe 2 books per day to beat the competition. Anyways, this is really low competition. So if you write a book about tango, dancing the tango, then you only have to sell 1 book a day and you can make it to the number 1 best-selling list. So if you're just starting off, this may be a good thing for you to write about if you like dancing. I am not passionate about dancing, so it'd be really hard to write a book about tango, but maybe you do love dancing, okay? So that's what's really useful. ABSR, that's average BSR, average bestseller rank. So here, the average bestseller rank of 3. Let's go to the category page, bestsellers in music. So here you see the 5 love languages. I don't know why that's under music. That's really weird. But obviously we know that the 5 love languages is a really popular book, and that's number 1 in music. Okay. But if we just say any department, and this is, you can search this on in Amazon. It's just the bestsellers. See up here, bestsellers. And then if you click on bestsellers and then you click on books, so let's just do that. Bestsellers. And then books, or you can also search the Kindle store. But let's go to books. And then the number 1 bestseller ever is Atomic Habits right now on Amazon. It is the number 1 best-selling book. But then this is where you can delve into all those different categories that are also here on Publisher Rocket. This is where you would access them on Amazon itself, and you do kind of the same thing. So I'd pick arts and photography and then, look at the different categories here. Having a really low number, I know a very, very low BSR means it's selling a lot. So the average BSR for the category of music is doing really well. It's selling a lot. It's making a lot of money. So low BSRs is good. One thing that is important to note is if you're noticing that a certain category has a really, really high BSR, like over 150,000 BSR, then that means it's just not a very popular category. It's not something that people are looking for. So maybe we can go back to tango. I want to see what that tango. Here you go. Yep. See that average BSR, the ABSR is 689,144, which means people are not looking to read books about the tango. So you could be a bestseller and you could tell all your friends and family, guys, I'm an Amazon bestseller, but that doesn't mean that you're making money. That does not at all mean that you are making money. But you can become an Amazon bestseller. So all these things are important to keep in mind. So I could find this one here, stage lighting. The BSR is lower, which means more people are interested in purchasing books about stage lighting, but you still only have to sell one book a day to make it to number 1. Here, this one's interesting. Trombones. Books about trombones. Okay, songbooks, that makes sense. Music, songbooks, brass trombones. So songbooks, 4 trombones. The BSR is 53,000, which is actually really good. And you only have to sell 3 books a day in order to make it to number 1. So that's actually a pretty good category right there. All right, so we've talked about the category search. And another thing to note real quick with category search is when you are publishing your book through KDP and you come to the section in the publisher, in that publishing page, where it tells you to pick categories, you're only allowed to pick 2 categories, right? If you've published something or if you're working on publishing something to Amazon, then you're aware of that fact, that you can only list 2 categories. But you can actually send a message, and I'll create a separate video about this, and I'll try to link that in the description. But you can actually create a message and send it to Amazon and ask them to be added to up to 10 different categories beyond the 2 that you listed initially. What Amazon does if you don't do that is they put you in categories based off of people who are buying your book or the niche that your book seems to be in. And so if you do your research and you find a category like this that you know you can do really well in and you want to reach number 1 so you can have that nice little bestsellers badge on your book, then you can send them an email and say, hey, I'd like my book to be added to this category. And you got to give them the whole thing, all of this. Okay, and keep in mind also this is books. You have to be selling 3 physical books in order to reach number 1 for trombones. If you're doing ebooks, it's not going to affect this. The stats for ebooks is going to be different, okay? I'll link you a video that talks about how to send that email. Let's go to the AMS keyword search. Now, this is really useful for creating your Amazon ads. So if I've already published my book and I'm ready to start running some ads, and let's say we're doing trombones. Okay, so I'm going to say trombones, hit enter. Then it just gives me this big old list of keywords and ASINs. And when you create an Amazon ad campaign, you can do a keyword campaign or you can do an ASINs campaign. So these you would want to copy separately, and you can't really, like if I try to copy the list directly in this application, it's going to try to copy everything and that's not going to work. But you say export and then it'll pull up that Excel spreadsheet, and then you can copy down just that row, copy down all the ASINs, and then paste them into your Amazon ad campaign, which is really nice because I could manually search for all these different books on trombones and manually record the ASINs and then manually paste them into my Amazon ad campaign. But believe me, that takes a really, really, really long time. What ASINs do with an ad campaign is they basically give you visibility on the pages of other books that are selling. So say you find a book, say 40 progressive studies for trombone, say this book is selling really well, but you think that maybe you could compete with it. So say that this book costs $20 and your trombone book costs $17 and it's very similar. And so you know that people who click on this book here, that if they scroll down and they see your book and it costs $17, but it teaches similar material, then maybe they'll buy your book instead. Having an ad campaign that uses ASINs puts your book on the pages of other books, basically. And then with keywords, obviously that targets what people are actually searching for on Amazon. So if they search trombone etudes or trombones for sale, then your Amazon ad would pop up on that front search page. And same thing with the keywords, you just copy and paste them into your keyword campaign that you're running with Amazon ads. Let me show you what I mean by metadata. If I open up this book here, the best book ever that I've been working on, it's not a real book, but I'm going to go to edit ebook details, and this is what it's going to look like when you're creating a new book. You've got your book title, your subtitle. When you find a keyword that has really good stats, ideally you would want to have that in either your book title or your subtitle, but that mostly works for nonfiction. If I have a keyword like cookbooks or like dairy-free, gluten-free cookbooks, then obviously that's a great keyword and you could easily make that your book title or your subtitle. However, if you have a fiction book, then you're not going to say romance book in your book title, and a lot of times you're not going to put that in your subtitle either, though you could, and you could say the best romance book ever for your subtitle. I don't know. Some people do that. Some people will put keywords like that in their subtitle, but sometimes it sounds a little cheesy, so it doesn't work as well for fiction. But if you don't want to have it in your title or your subtitle, you can scroll down here to keywords and also include some of your keywords in your description as well. And this works for fiction as well. So if you're talking about an adventure romance or a romance with dragons, which was one of the keywords that we found, then write about that in your description, and it's going to help with this metadata. The metadata basically is this information about your book that you're writing. So here we have our 7 keywords that we can put in. See, I put an example here, romance novel, and then you could say romance with dragons. Okay, whatever keywords you found that had the best stats, you're going to pick your 7 top keywords and put those here. And these are keywords that you hope to rank for without having to run any ads to them. And then later, when you create an ad campaign, here you can see I have my ad campaign that I can set up. Then you're going to click create an ad campaign, click on sponsored products, create a campaign name, but then down here, we're not going to go into detail about this right now, but down here, if you're doing let's say manual targeting, not automatic, and then come down here, and then you would say enter list for your keyword targeting, and then you can enter your list of keywords that you've been researching and then run ads to those keywords. And that would be beyond even the 7 keywords that you chose. I would include those 7 keywords in this list as well, but then you can include hundreds and hundreds of other keywords if you want to, though a lot of people will recommend making separate campaigns where you have 10 to 50 keywords on this ad campaign, but then you make a separate ad campaign, and then it's just a little bit easier for you to get a feel for what keywords are working without spending all your budget on smaller keywords that don't work very well. But like I said, we're not going to get into a lot of detail on Amazon ads right now because you can go forever and ever. That's keywords. Now the other option is to use ASINs. So right here under targeting, keyword targeting is the one we just looked at. The other one is product targeting. And this is where you're going to put in ASINs. And you can select categories, or you can go to individual products and say enter list. And then this is where you would paste the ASINs that you copied from Publisher Rocket. If you do want to learn more about Amazon ads right now, Dave, the one who owns Kindlepreneur, he's the owner of Publisher Rocket, he actually has this free course on Amazon ads that's really excellent, and it goes through a lot of really important information. And obviously because he created Publisher Rocket, then he teaches you how to use keywords in your Amazon ad campaigns. I'll go ahead and link this down below, and then you guys can get started with taking this course as well once you finish this video. This is kind of a lot to take in. There's a lot to learn. So you can come here to tutorials, and he teaches you how to use all of these awesome tools and resources, which is really nice. It's so clean. It's really simple. Everything is packaged up real nicely. Really, really easy. And this is a really great way to figure out how to get more sales to your book organically. So you're not just having to constantly run ads to your books over and over again and you're just losing money. But if you can do it strategically, if you can find the right categories to put your book in and find the right keywords to target so that you're bumping your book up in the search results using Amazon ads, then eventually it's going to start putting your book at the front pages of these keywords so that people find your book organically, which just means that they're finding your book without you creating an ad because your book is selling enough to be on the front page, the first page of search results for a specific keyword. And I said that I would also address a keyword search for a fiction book. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to say new search. And as you can see, it's saving all my searches. So I can exit them out if I don't need them anymore, or I can hold on to them and keep track of several different keyword searches that I'm doing at one time, which is really nice. I have that all in one location. If I exit out, it's going to delete all my work, which is why I would want to export the stuff that I've been working on if I'm hoping to work with these keywords. So fiction, let's say that we're writing a romance novel. So I'll just type romance. And then I'm going to have an idea of what terms people are searching for. Romance dragon, that sounds interesting. And then I can, historical romance. Say I want to publish an historical romance. I can compare that one. Romance books for women, romance novels. Romance is like really popular. It does really, really well. Their romance readers are a voracious audience. They love reading. Yeah, this did way better than our weight loss search results. People are apparently looking for romance novels on Amazon. So yeah, go write some romance. This is going to help you again know what keywords to use in your metadata. Romance novels, bestsellers, romance and drama books, romance and mystery, romance and suspense. These are really interesting. Oh, here we go. We got a double green. Look, 993 searches is in the green, and then it's got a lower competition. So romance and mystery books, that's something people are looking for. Historical romance novels, they're both in the green. That's pretty good. But as you can see, the average monthly earnings is actually pretty low. I'm curious to see what books are here then. Okay, so yeah, it just looks like these books aren't making very high monthly sales. But this could be a good category for you to start in, especially if the competition score is relatively low, which is interesting to me because historical romance novels, there's a lot of historical romance novels, so I would not expect this to be a very good score here. Now that we've gone over some of these things that we needed to keep an eye out for, let's review real quick. With keywords, the number of searches per month, you obviously want a keyword that's getting a lot of searches per month, but the competition is still pretty low. Is there a book or author already dominating the niche? If you find somebody, so the author of Atomic Habits, that's huge. So you may not want to go into the keyword of habits or micro habits or mini habits because that's pretty much what he wrote on, and most people trust him and they're going to get his book. If you try to get into that niche, it's going to be a lot harder than trying to find another keyword where there's not already an established authority or expert in that field. Competition, again, making sure that your keyword does not have a super high competition, especially when you're starting out. Categories, you want to make sure you pick a category that does not require you to get 200 sales per day right off the bat in order to get to the number one spot. Getting to number one just gives you that little nice bestsellers badge, which can be nice for marketing, and it also gets you closer to the top of search results, to the top of pages when people are looking for a particular category or even particular keywords, and it helps you get more visibility organically to your book. The average bestseller rank, the ABSR, you want it to be lower, definitely under 150,000 when you're looking for a category that you want to publish in, or the categories that you want to reach out to Amazon to put your book in. So there's
and a general overview of how to use Publisher Rocket and how to just get started with keyword research. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll do my best to help you. Or if you want me to create a separate video on any one question that you have, then I'd be happy to do that.